For Creamer Media's Polity, I'm Thabi Madiba. Researcher and analyst Professor Raymond Suttner joins me for Suttner's View, a weekly commentary on South Africa's political scene. Welcome, Professor.
Thank you.
Can Cyril Ramaphosa reverse much of the damage done to South Africa by President Jacob Zuma?
Well, it's not Cyril Ramaphosa alone who has to do it, but I think that you have a lot of problems in the country. State institutions have been undermined. State-owned enterprises have been undermined. And because there has been diversion of resources from the state, the monies available for welfare projects are less than they would be. We've got this huge debt, about 50 to 60 billion. And with that promise that Zuma made for free education, can rocket even further. We've got junk status with the rand and with the various certain state enterprises have had these downgrades. What I think is that Cyril Ramaphosa has got a business-like way of dealing with the state. And he is capable, I think, of deciding fairly quickly that this needs to be rectified, changing the people, gave an ultimatum about the ESCOM board, they changed the ESCOM board, and a number of things like that. He will have to address a number of key ministries, like the Ministry of Finance, SARS, is related to the Ministry of Communication. Faith Mutambi is now public service. Have to get rid of quite a few people. Batabile Dlamini in social welfare. A number of these things which are really dangerously badly run, like the social welfare department is facing another crisis in the provision of grants, and the deadline is coming to an end, and he's going to have to get rid of some of these people, many of these people, because they add nothing. And I think without thinking of ideology, there are many people who can do much better jobs than those who are there now. He'll have to do that sort of cleanup, but he will have to ensure that there's an end put to this procedural irregularity where some people influenced the granting of tenders, influenced decision-making, influenced appointments, a number of these things. Now, there are other people who say that, what about jobs, what about housing, what about land? That's correct, but the thing is, before you can do any of that, you have to safeguard the resources of the state. Now, not only was a dairy farm used to finance the Guptas and their wedding, but the resources that have been meant to be provided from a number of these projects in some cases were meant to benefit the local population. Now, only when you have restored proper procedures in the finance ministry, in SARS, and a number of these things, will it be possible to address the dire needs for land, education, healthcare, and all these things. Doesn't mean that we stop and nothing happens, but in a very comprehensive manner. To do it in a comprehensive manner requires that you have regularized procedures. So the first thing that I think a Ramaphosa-led government would be able to do is to restore regularity, and that is needed for investment. Investors want regularity.
And some in the ANC top six and some cabinet ministers are involved in the Gupta scandals. So do you think Ramaphosa will clean the ANC and remove such people from his cabinet?
Well, he can't charge them. some of them, if they're in the cabinet, he can remove them.
Okay.
But if they are involved in corruption, that's up to the prosecuting authorities to do. And I think Ramaphosa will try to ensure that the prosecuting authorities and the police services, especially crime intelligence and the Hawks, operate in a manner that is professional and ethical. You've seen now that things are happening, for example, the arrest of the former acting commissioner, Pakhlane, things like that, so that even though he's not president, some things have happened that wouldn't have happened had he not been expecting to become president.
And lastly, opposition parties and South Africans have now started to lose hope on Ramaphosa with Zuma's transition that is taking for a very long time. So do you think Ramaphosa's presidency will lead to a thriving democratic life?
I'm not here to promote the qualities of Ramaphosa, but you can't judge a person's qualities by how quickly he negotiates the departure of the existing president. To me, that is something which everyone has made a mystique around Ramaphosa, that he knows how to negotiate. The thing that we need now is someone who knows how to delegate, and from when I was working with him, but that's a long time ago, in 1990, 1994, he did know, one of his strengths was that he did delegate. What he couldn't really do, he could pick someone who could do it properly. So that I don't think there's anything that's happened now that is good reason to lose confidence in him, although I don't think we must attribute qualities to him which are magical. The man has got to do a job in cleaning up the corruption, the irregularity, and all of these things. And business and investors from overseas want to know that when they enter a contract, they don't have to put money under the table. And I think that is what Ramaphosa may represent for them and will help us. Without investment, you can't create jobs. And I think he will have to. It isn't a big enough part of his program, in my view, but unemployment is huge in this country, and it's especially amongst the youth, and that is a time bomb.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
That was Professor Raymond Suttner speaking to Creamer Media's Polity about what will change when Ramaphosa becomes president.